We have roller coasters in our business. But if you set something up like this and have a pipeline that you let manage you can wake up every single day, and if you're diligent, nobody's perfect, so allow yourself grace, pearls. But what I'm saying is if you have a pipeline and you sit at your computer or desk or whatever your area for work is, you could say, who am I supposed to talk to today? Who are my new contacts? Who am I supposed to follow up with? Who am I supposed to invite? And it will be right there for you. How many people spend too much time scrolling through their Facebook trying to figure out who to talk to? It's a waste of time. And I got no time. I got 2 kids running around, half naked all the time, like Winnie the Pooh. Like, it is stressful. And so I think who was I telling that to? That's a story for another day. But the reason why this is so important to me is because the number one reason I wanted to be a Beachbody coach is because I was desperate to come home from my full-time job. Before Beachbody, I was working in corporate America full-time as a marketing director for a medical software company. That sounds really fancy, but I was really miserable. And it's because I'm not a corporate America kind of girl. But I needed something different, and somehow all the dreams that I had made sense that I could do fitness at home with my kiddos, and I was desperate to come home. And Beachbody allowed that, and it was amazing. But what happens when you're really, really busy, you get very gifted at figuring out where you can work your power pockets and those mom cracks. But when you come home from that, when you have more hours, you seem to get less done. I don't know if any of you guys have experienced that. And so you have to figure out a way to work this business in your favor. And the whole concept of, okay, if you guys are here, I'm assuming that you've been, pumping the well and doing your business and talking to people in your direct circles, in your hot market, warm market, and then this idea of a cold market can be intimidating. And so what I'm going to introduce to you guys here is very, very simple, to the point where it's elementary school. And as I explain it, you're going to say, wow, they reserved a session for that? And my response is, yeah, because it's the basics. And I bet you that every single one of us here do these same exact actions and behaviors, even though it might not be in this format, it might not be on a funnel, it might not be on a spreadsheet. But every top coach you talk to, every mentor, every leader you talk to, every national wake-up call you listen to, what are they telling you? Talk to new people, connect with new people, invite new people, help new people, invite them to the opportunity. Is that not the entire formula for success for being a Beachbody coach? And then you rinse and repeat. And you do that over and over and over. But what happens is we get so bogged down on management, we get so bogged down on emotions, we get so bogged down on everything else that everyone else is doing seemingly better, that we forget about these basics, and we forget about the whole concept of connecting with a human being like we used to do before we were Beachbody coaches trying to sell challenge packs. And so this funnel system keeps me accountable and keeps my heart in check, that I will always listen, care, and guide them to a solution that I feel like is best for them, instead of just waking up thinking, who is going to flip and say yes today, because I got goals. And so now, yes, you guys can take pictures or whatever, but go to the next slide. So the way that I've introduced this invite funnel is in 7 steps, and I introduce it as a pipeline. And so the very first step, it's so extremely simple, especially if you're trying to educate your new coaches on developing a habit of doing their 4 vital behaviors every single day, because typically when you introduce the 4 vital behaviors, everyone is always going to avoid the inviting section because they don't know what to say. This is a solution for that. And so step number 1, I'm going to speak as if you guys are literally on day 1 of a coach. This is what I would speak to my new coaches. Here's what I'm going to have you do. You get a piece of paper out, get a pen, and write down 5 names. 5 names. It could be more, it could be less, but it can't be less because that's the whole point. But at least 5 names. Day 1, like and comment. That's it. You're thinking, oh, I can do that. I can do that to 50 people. I'm going to be the top coach. Slow down. Day 1. Step number 2. 2 days after. 2 days after you like and comment on that person's post, you're going to go back. You're going to like and comment on their social media again. Why? Because it affirms them, just like it affirms you when somebody follows your content. You're going to let them know that you're interested in them. You're going to be a real human being actually talking to them and not just sending them a cold invite. But on that day, you're going to send them a message. It's like the common hey girl message, like, hey girl, I saw your puppy, he's cute. Hey girl, working out. That's awesome. It doesn't have to be anything about Beachbody. As a matter of fact, I recommend my coaches not to even mention anything about Beachbody during that first initial conversation. Because if I'm meeting at Starbucks, I'm not going to come to you with a billboard being like, hey, buy this. I'm just going to try to remember what it was like to be a real friend before I was offering you something to buy. You remember in high school or college or whatever when you remembered how to like shake hands and have a conversation with somebody? We have to get back to the human aspect of it and not just be robots who are trying to produce certain results and goals. That's totally the pearl in me. Step number 3, 2 days later. So this is very methodical, okay? Follow me here. So every 2 days you're gonna have a drip, an impression. You guys probably have heard before that it takes, at least 8 impressions or 8, exposures to somebody before they even can gain trust or relatability or know you. And so these every 2-day touch points are you not only keeping yourself accountable to like and comment and respond, but you actually might start to like this person. Like, you might be like, oh dang, she's funny. Oh, we could be friends. I really like her. I'm actually learning from her. I'm gonna ask her advice on what she's doing to help her son not be a crazy person. Like, these are conversations that I have with my seemingly prospects that all of a sudden I'm not thinking of them as prospects anymore. I'm thinking of them as like potential friends, and it makes me feel good. It makes me feel like, wow, we could be buddies, and there's no pressure when I actually get to the invite part. There's no pressure for them to say yes or no, because at this point, I just like you, and I follow you, and I've been commenting on your stuff, which means algorithms are gonna make my stuff follow up on your Facebook, and you might start liking and commenting on my stuff, and that's how it funnels down. So step number 3 is just continuing to form them. Not in a very business approach, but just get to know them, listen to them. How are you doing? What do you do in life? You can cut up with them, connect with them, find something. How do you even know them on Facebook? Figure out how you connect in the first place, and it doesn't have to always leave with a question. I know I had always been trained that if you're gonna message somebody, you have to end that message with a question so they feel obligated to respond back to you. But it's really awkward when they still don't respond back to you, and then the next day you have to repeat the question. Or if you're like, hey, your dog is cute, how many kids do you have? And they're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, why are you asking about my kids? We just became friends yesterday on Facebook. So it doesn't really come across natural if you're just pounding them with 20 questions before they realize that you care, because you're liking and commenting publicly before you're messaging them privately. So that might totally be a change of event in your head of, wow, I thought I have to always enter the question. The reason you do or you don't, depending on how the conversation flows naturally through you, is because in 2 days, you're gonna follow up with them again. So don't worry about it. Don't make them feel pressure of having to respond to you, because in 2 days, you might like and comment on their stuff again and respond in that message. So I'd be like, hey girl, I know life gets busy. I get it. How was that doctor's appointment we were talking about? Or hey, that thing that we mentioned, or anything, that vacation you have coming up. Again, just reinitiate the conversation, because your win is when they respond to you. Your win is not necessarily them saying yes to a product that you're trying to sell. Your win is basically getting them to know, like, and trust you, right? So that's step number 4. Now here's the kicker. By step number 5, which is about 10 days in, because this funnel flows this way, you fill your pipeline at step number 1. Step number 2, you like and comment and message them that initial hello, let's connect. Step number 3 and 4, that's getting to know them. That's allowing you time and cushion to listen to them, to stretch yourself to say, I have no idea what to talk about with this person, but maybe throughout those 8 days that you're liking and commenting with them, they start liking and commenting on your post, which gives you content to talk about. Because if they didn't respond to you, I typically say, hey, I saw that you liked that comment the other day about my husband dancing in background. He's a crazy person, I know. Like, wasn't that funny? So if they're then engaging in the post that I'm sharing, then I kind of see the ball rolling, and I kind of see, okay, they're liking, knowing, and trusting me. So by step 5, regardless of where we are in our potential marriage, I am responsible for going for the ask. Because I have coaches that are like, I can talk to people all day long, but if you want me to invite somebody, I'm going to panic because I don't know what to say. And then it takes them a year to invite somebody, but by that time, somebody else has invited them, and they're a coach on somebody else's team. And they're like, well, that's not fair. Because I was working with that person. I'm like, no, you weren't. You were chatting with them, and that's fine. But in order for you to take that next step, you have to go for the ask. It could be as blunt or as casual or as soft as your personality feels comfortable with. But I'm telling you that you have to go for the ask by step 5, no matter what your head and heart are telling you. That could be something like inviting them to a free clean eating group. That could be something like inviting them to the Health Bet Challenge, which, in my opinion, is the easiest thing I have ever invited to in my life because it's a win-win. Or it could be something like inviting them to the Coach Opportunity webinar. Depending on where that conversation is or what that person needs, but by step 5 in this funnel, by step 10, this is day 10, if you're following this funnel, by using somebody through this system, you're going to invite them to something. It could be, hey, it could be, I know this is totally random. I was talking to a couple of my other friends. I figured you wouldn't mind because you've been so awesome to talk to. This Health Bet Challenge that you've seen me post about, here's a blog I wrote about it. Let me know what you think. Now, you could change that up. You can have a question in it. You could say, what fitness goals do you have? You don't have to send them a blog. You don't have to send them anything, because what's going to happen in 2 days anyways, you're going to follow up and say, hey, what'd you think about that blog? Or you can initiate a conversation, end with a question, so they would be obligated to answer the question. The invite is not magical. I think the relationship is what's magical. It's not the wording of what you say in the invite, it's how you're making them feel. And this whole process is not necessarily how many people that you're talking to, what you say, what your posts are, what your content looks like, how pretty your graphics are. At the end of the day, people are not going to remember that, but they will remember how you made them feel. And that starts with connection, it starts with communication, it starts with you caring and you listening and you having that slow drip of building that rapport with everybody and not just cattle calling people. And step number 6, if somebody does not follow up or somebody doesn't respond to you when you've invited them, you follow up with them. Hey, did you get my last message? I know you're busy. What's up? Step number 7, I follow up again. I'm not going to be scared because I have something to offer, or I'll touch base again. Hey, I saw that you've been doing this, or let's connect again soon. What's a good time that we can chat? I follow up with them at least 2 times after that initial invite. And a lot of times, I don't really know if a lot is the correct word, but more often than I wish, people don't respond to me at all after that number 5. Am I mad about it? Am I going to cry about it? Am I going to think that I did something to offend them? I can't take it personally. I can't, because it was on them. And not because I'm thinking, oh, well, they're worthless then. They're nobody now because they didn't receive my invitation. Well, what do? I put them back at step number 1. Step number 1, in a couple of months, I'm going to like and comment on their stuff. I'm going to message them. I'm going to chat with them. I'm going to chat with them. And then I'm going to invite them to something again. And so it's a constant rotation. And that takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work to keep up with this funnel. But let me tell you something. If you go to the next slide. You might hate spreadsheets, and you might have your own way of having a list, but something that I learned from Janelle Summers when I first started as a coach that has always stuck with me is if you don't have a list, you don't have a business. If you don't have a list, you're not working your business. If you don't have a place where you have people that you are responsible for and talking to them, getting to know them, building a relationship with them, you're going to forget about them because we're human. You're going to forget about them because you have other things going on in your life outside of Beachbody, or you should, to remain sane. And so the way that this system works is I created this very simple, non-attractive spreadsheet. And I would say, hey, everyone use this spreadsheet. You can have it on your own. But you can take it and make it your own. You can apply it to Streak. You can apply it to, if you have a Google Drive, you can put it on Teamsy. You can put it on pen and paper. I use a program called One Page CRM to follow through with this process. And so at day number 1, you can do 5 people, you can do 10 people, you can do 20 people. But as long as you know whatever day 1 starts with, it's going to have to go through your funnel the same day. So if you get really eager beaver one day and you're like, I'm going to do 1,000 number 1s today. I'm going to rock my business and I'm going to hit Success Club 50 tomorrow. That's awesome. Go for it. However, you will realize just like a snake swallows a mouse, or like the bottleneck will happen, right? Like your number 1s will eventually be number 5s, which will eventually be number 6s, which will eventually be number 7s. And if you don't drip steadily, and if you don't just keep consistent by adding 5 new people to your market every single day and leading them down a funnel, however you want to interpret a funnel for you, then you're never going to have people that you know you're supposed to talk to, you know you're supposed to follow up with, you know you're supposed to invite, and you know you're supposed to touch base with. So when I sit down at my desk, it's not every day is not perfect. I know that this sounds so emerald, but I'm like emerald on a Tuesday, and then on Wednesday I'm a pearl, and then on Thursday I'm a ruby, and on Friday I'm kind of a sapphire because it's almost the weekend, you know what I mean? So if I let something like this manage my work ethic, I know I'll get the work done. And I know I can hit my goal of Success Club 10 minimum every single month. I know I'll continue to be a legend. I know I'll continue to funnel people through a challenge group, which then I could connect with, build rapport with, follow what Genius Alley was talking about, and then pulling future coaches from my challenge groups and build it that way. So you see here, step 1 is 5 people. On Wednesday you do 5 people, on Thursday you do 5 people, on Friday you do 5 people, but by Wednesday you take the people from step number 1 to step number 2, which is simply sending them a hey girl message or whatever. So the way that I train my team is I tell them, just try this for 21 days. However long it takes you to develop a habit, try this for 21 days and then put your personality on it, put your spin on it, put your way of tracking on it. But every coach that you'll ever talk to is going to tell you the same thing. Oh, in order for me to be successful, I meet new people, I connect with new people, I invite new people, I follow up with new people, and I follow up with them again. That is the formula. All I did was put it in a system that was easy for me to follow, where I didn't have to have sticky notes all over the place, or I didn't have my phone with me while I'm chasing my kid, trying not to burn the noodles on the stove, and I didn't have to waste 30 minutes trying to figure out what 3 people I can invite that day, because the BAT says I have to invite 3 to 5 people every day, and I don't know who to invite. You could spend all day literally scrolling through, figuring out who you can invite, and that's stressful to me because then I don't feel like I did anything else productive. But if literally you have a list in front of you and you say, oh crap, these people are at step number 5, but that you know exactly who those step number 5 people are, and that's who you invite every single day, is the people who are on that next step. And that's my pipeline. That's my pipeline. As long as I'm constantly filling people up at step number 1, I know as it filters down and as I am disciplined to follow that system, I know I'm always going to have people at each step in my power hour to talk to, connect with, to invite, to follow up with, and eventually to join the team. So that is my invite funnel.